as always, was DNS. If it's not a misplaced semicolon or some such, the problem is going to be DNS. And that's despite the fact that our resolvectl command seemed to indicate that everything was A-OK. So I don't know if it was yet another false positive or something else changed in the network, but it took about an hour to troubleshoot and required reconfiguring DNS, and that meant resending the resolvectl commands that you can find here on cyberspacemanmike.com. I had to resend these commands, and here's the command that seemed to give us a false positive. Rerunning it now, you can see again that it seems to indicate that DNS is working, and that has been confirmed because I can load up this page here. So we do know that, at least currently, for the time being, DNS is working. And as you can see, so this time around I decided to make sure everything was up and running, and before I launched the stream, and launched a little late. So are we fashionably late? We are. And ignore all the noise in the background. Alright, so what have we done so far? I went to the access page, selected the breaching AD network to download the configuration file. I renamed it to something easy that I could remember and type in. And so you can see, well, let me just... So first I changed directory to downloads, then sudo, and then ran that, and so that's up and working. And then sent these resolvectl commands in order to configure DNS, and yeah, so that's where we are now. All right, Control C. Let's clear this.
Breakfast in the morning, and then we'll go into live.
And yeah, all right, so we'll start from the top and begin reading this here. Large organizations need tools to deploy and manage the infrastructure of the estate. In massive organizations, you can't have your IT personnel using DVDs or even USB flash drives running around installing software on every single machine. Luckily, Microsoft already provides the tools required to manage the estate. However, we can exploit misconfiguration in these tools to also breach AD, MDT, and SCCM. And SCCM goes by a different... Oh, hello. Thank you for joining us. Sorry, I'm just now seeing your message. I don't know. Can you hear all that noise in the background? Let me know and I'll try to take care of it. Microsoft Development Toolkit, MDT, is a Microsoft service that assists with automating the deployment of Microsoft operating systems, OS. Large organizations use services such as MDT to help deploy new images in their estate more efficiently, since the base images can be maintained and updated in a central... Oh, that's good. In a central location. Usually, MDT is integrated with Microsoft System Center Configuration Manager, SCCM, which, thanks, appreciate it, is used for new deployments. Essentially allows the IT team to pre-configure and manage boot images. Hence, if they need to configure a new machine, they just need to plug in a network cable. Everything happens automatically. They can make various changes to the boot image, such as already installing default software like Office 365 and the organization's antivirus of choice. You can also ensure that the new build is updated the first time the installation runs. Flying Cakes, you're joining us at an opportune time, because this is the one time I've got everything up and running, and so far we have had no technical issues, and so we're going to be able to complete our breaching Active Directory tasks fairly readily, fairly easily this time around. SCCM, again, goes by a different name now, can be seen as almost an expansion in the big brother to MDT. What happens to the software after it is installed? Well, SCCM does this type of patch management. It allows the IT team to review available updates to all software installed across the estate. The team can also test these patches in a sandbox environment to ensure they are stable before essentially deploying them to all domain joined machines. It makes the life of the IT team significantly easier. However, Anything that provides central management of infrastructure, such as MDT and SCCM, can also be targeted by attackers in an attempt to take over large portions of critical functions in the estate. Although MDT can be configured in various ways, for this task, we'll focus exclusively on a configuration called Pre-Boot Execution Environment, pxeboot, or pxeboot. Pxeboot. Large organizations use pxeboot to allow new devices that are connected to the network to load and install the OS directly over a network connection. MDT can be used to create, manage, and host pxeboot images. Pxeboot is usually integrated with DHCP, which means that if DHCP assigns an IP lease, the host is allowed to request the pxeboot image and start the network OS installation process. The communication flow is shown in the diagram below, and nobody hates having to listen to myself drone on about this stuff more than I do, but it's important, and we're going to get to the fun stuff soon here. So 1. User sends DHCP discover, requests IP address and PXE service info. 2. Server sends DHCP offer, sends open IP and PXE service info. 3. User sends DHCP request, accepts IP address. 4. Server sends DHCP acknowledge. 5. Client performs boot service discover. 6. Server acknowledge sends pxeboot information. 7. Client requests pxeboot via TFTP. And 8. Server delivers pxeboot via TFTP. All right. Once the process is performed, the client will use a TFTP connection to download the pxeboot image. We can exploit the pxeboot image for, see, now it's getting good. This is the exploitation part, for 2 different purposes. We can inject a privilege escalation vector, such as local administrator account, to gain administrative access to the OS once the pxeboot has been completed. So we can corrupt the image, I imagine, with an account that we can take advantage of. And 2 is perform password scraping attacks to recover AD credentials used during the install. In this task, we will focus on the latter. We will attempt to recover the deployment service account associated with the MDT service during installation for this password scraping attack. Furthermore, there is also the possibility of retrieving other AD accounts used for the unattended installation of applications and services. Oh boy. All right, we're going to get through this. There's only a little bit more to read, then we can start doing stuff. Pxeboot image retrieval. Since DHCP is a bit finicky, we will bypass the initial steps of this attack. We will skip the part where we attempt to request an IP and the pxeboot pre-configured details from DHCP. We'll perform the rest of the attack from this step in the process manually. The first piece of information regarding the pxeboot pre-configure you would have received via DHCP is the IP of the MDT server. In our case, you can recover that information from the Tryhackme network diagram. And I believe that IP to be 10.200.54.202, and that's not a testimony to my... Hey, hello, 2SMG. I appreciate you visiting us once again. 2SMG is a fast friend from the Discord server. And let's check, let's see, it is indeed the IP address that I just read out there. Again, not a testimony to my memory, more so a testimony to, I've done this so many times now, just troubleshooting and overcoming technical difficulties. All right, so 2SMG, you're joining us in an opportune time. As I mentioned, Flying Cakes, this is one of the rare times where I've worked out all the bugs ahead of launching the stream. Your reminder did not work, though. Well, as you know, better late than never. I myself was fashionably late, as were Razor and Blade and hackers, so it's okay. As I was saying, it took me a while to make sure I had all the bugs worked out. In particular, being able to load this page, because last time when we tried this last night on stream, I wasn't able to load it, and it was a DNS problem, as I mentioned previously. Despite the fact that it seemed we were getting a false positive from our resolvectl status breach AD command here. It was saying that DNS was working and active when in fact it didn't seem to be. I don't know if something changed in the network to make it not work, but yeah, so that's what happened. But everything's working now, so you're here at a good time. Usually you would use, except for that, you're at the part where I have to read through paragraph after paragraph of techno jargon. Usually you would use tftp to request each of these BCD files and enumerate the configuration for all of them. However, in the interest of time, we will focus on the BCD file of the x64 architecture, copy and store the full name of this file. For the rest of this exercise, we'll be using the name placeholder, this, what you're seeing here, since the files and their names are regenerated by MDT every day. Excuse me. So these all change every day. So it's more of a variable than a parameter. Each time you see this placeholder, remember to replace it with your specific BCD file name. Note as well that if the network has just started, these file names will only update after 10 minutes of the network being active. I do live near a train. It's funny because if you're living near a train too, then you kind of just tune it out and never notice it, and then you have like guests over and they wake up screaming in the middle of the night because they weren't expecting a train to wake them up. All right, so that means some of these things take a while to spin up, so always make sure to hit start or start your attack box as soon as you start the task. That was my mistake earlier tonight. With this initial information now recovered from DHCP, wink wink, we can enumerate and retrieve the pxeboot image. We'll be using our SSH connection on THM. Okay, so it's a jump server, JMP1 for the next couple of steps. So please authenticate to this SSH session using the following. And I see this trip a lot of people up, myself included. Tryhackme doesn't really do a good job of telling you what computer you're in and when. And we're going to see that as we go through this task. But basically what we're going to do is SSH into this computer, and more or less this will become kind of a stepping stone attack box. And that's another thing I take exception with as far as Tryhackme's tasks go. They don't really identify what they mean by attack box a lot of times. Sometimes they're referring to the web-based attack box. Sometimes they mean if you're running your own VM, which I'm doing right now. That being said, we get to do stuff now instead of just read. So we're gonna SSH here, Control-Shift-V to copy unformatted tasks, and it's gonna want a password, and we have the very secure password of password 1A, and it's the 1A, the @ symbol, that makes it secure. And so now, if you're ever confused as to where you might be, check your prompt here. So and also this is kind of a dead giveaway, but if this were here and you saw C:, that means you're operating in a Windows environment for the most part. I'm not familiar with any other OS that kind of uses that convention. And double check that your screen looks like this screen, so make sure that one of these things is very much like the other. I learned best by doing. It's impossible to read paragraphs without just getting into it with me. I'm the same way, but the moment I try skipping something, it comes around to bite me. So also, I'm kind of like a task completionist, so in that interest, I'm gonna do my due diligence and read through all this, as dull as it may be. We're gonna change directory into documents here. Notice there's no history. And we're going to make directory, make dar a username. And I'm going to take that literally. They actually mean use your username, but I'm just going to use username. And we're going to copy PowerPXE into our folder, all right? Copy C, /PowerPXE. And fun fact, Windows Terminal, it's like everything is slightly off-brand, like list is dir instead of ls, and it's like instead of Coke or Pepsi, it's tab. All right, C PowerPXE username, And success, 3 files copied. And we're gonna change, did we change directory yet? No. Okay, username, and dir. All right, so there's everything there. I don't know, can you hear the music in the cartoon music in the background? Let me know how if my audio is still on point. Also, if you hear my nephew shouting, let me know. The first step we need to perform is using TFTP and downloading our BCD file to read the configuration of the MDT server. I hear a kid. All right, I'm gonna go close the door. I'll be right back. Bear with me for a moment. All right, sorry about that. Sorry for the interruption, but we're back on track now. The first step we need to do is perform using TV. Okay, we're not back on track. Let me start again. To perform is using TFTP and downloading our BCD file to read the configuration of the MDT server. If you're just joining us, we're stealing an image and searching it for hard-coded credentials. TFTP is a bit trickier than FTP since we can't list files. Instead, we send a file request, and the server will connect back to us via UDP to transfer the file. UDP is different from other protocols in that it is, I think what they refer to it as, unmanaged. So that means that there's no error checking. So with FTP, when you send a file, it does things like not necessarily MD5 sum checking, but some sort of checking to make sure that nothing was lost in transit, everything arrived on the other end exactly as it should. And UDP does none of that. It just sends the information and hopes it all gets there and doesn't care one way or another if it does or not. And you might say, why use UDP? Well, it's faster because there's no error correction or checking. And so it's useful for things like video streaming and that sort of thing. I don't know why we're using it here, but anyways, hence we need to be accurate when specifying files and file paths. The BCD files are always located in the temp directory on the MDT server. We can initiate the TFTP transfer using the following command in our SSH session. All right, so let's do that. Yep, back to doing stuff. We're going to get into the RC Cola of command line environments. And again, our THM MDT server is 10.200.54.202. 202. Oh, and there's more here. We have to and we need a space there. And we need to substitute for our BCD file name. So let's do that now. Where is it? We want the x64. We don't want the UEFI version. And these are all canonical ways of pronouncing these abbreviations. I don't know if I'm in the right place here. I don't know why they don't have that functionality where you can just place the cursor wherever you want it, but whatever. All right, and let's just get rid of the placeholder there. And this should work. And it's just going to let us guess whether or not, it's not going to tell us one way or another. That's part of the fun. We get to guess whether or not it's working. I don't think it is, because here the transfer is 1 second. I'm almost sure that my IP is correct. Let's double check, shall we? We shall. 10, 254, 202. Easy enough to remember. Connection request failed. Let's see. Is one of these things not like the other? TFTP. Switch I. Correct IP. Get. Temp x64. .bcd. If I used this site and learned, I would probably know almost everything. I was just diving in always, never used sites like these before. They're super valuable. I have a love-hate relationship with Tryhackme just because their advent of cyber is a scam, and I won a CTF exercise, and it took me a year of fighting with them to get my prize or the cash equivalent. I have a video on it. So Tryhackme.com is the site I love to hate, but in terms of, there's probably no better way to learn practical cybersecurity skills like these. This is probably the best way to learn it. Request failed. All right, so what's going on here? I don't see what the problem is. This checks out. Let me find out it's another. Let me refresh this and see if. Because I know these update every once in a while. But that's the same. Is there something in the syntax that I'm missing? But yeah, the best time to start learning is now. I mean, I'm way behind on this stuff, and you can kind of get complacent, make a lot of excuses and whatnot, but I'm trying to hold myself accountable by doing this every weekend and live streaming it. So this is very much, first and foremost, for my benefit, and secondly, for anybody else who wants to come along for the ride. Metaphorically, yeah. All right, is anybody seeing what's wrong here, or is it going to be another DNS issue? Once again, it looks like everything's good. What are our commands here for like dig and stuff? I think it's just like ns lookup, right? Ns lookup, and the only parameter is whatever you're trying to look up, right? What was what? The buzzing? Might have been the bug zapper. All right, so it looks like we have a DNS error again. Yeah, bug zapper. So let's send these commands again. I don't know how how often do we have to reconfigure DNS. Every 10 minutes? Okay, this is not... Yep, still the same IP. I'll give you 3 guesses as to what my password is. And the first 2 don't count. Alright. No. While we're doing that, let's look at the access page here. It says we're connected. Over here, it's saying it's timed out. No servers could be reached. I don't believe you. Let's try pinging or looking up the domain controller. Oh my god. Oh my god. So I'm getting conflicting information here. On one hand, it says we're connected and configured properly. On the other hand, NSLOOKUP doesn't return anything. Maybe it just needed a moment. Let's try the same thing and expect different results, shall we? What happens when you do NSLOOKUP by IP? Let's ping. I know this should tell me something, but I'm not entirely sure what it is. I think it just confirms my suspicions that DNS is not set up correctly. But why wouldn't resending these commands resolve that? Because it seems to have in the past. Let's try to do the same thing and expect different results. What was the command? I spoke too soon when I said you were joining us in an opportune time when all the bugs have been ironed out. Why would you iron bugs? That doesn't make any sense. No problem. Commerce comes first. More human than human. So go here at Tyrell. Alright, the only solution I know for this is to reboot the virtual machine. That's not ideal, but it's the only surefire solution that I know of. And by surefire, I mean it's worked once before. I can drop the VPN connection and reconnect. Maybe I should try that before I do anything else. All right, where am I? All right, cd. All right, sudo. Error, device or resource busy, so it's already connected. The VPN is already connected. And we confirmed that with ping. But how do we fix... I mean, other than throwing those commands at it again, I don't want to go so far as to, like, open up the configuration file. All right, I'm going to try this one more time, and then I'm going to reboot the VPN. But if I have to reconfigure DNS every 10 minutes, that's going to be a problem. I don't even know why I'm... Again, it says everything's okay. But we know that is not the case. Because this is taking too long. Any ideas? No servers could be reached. Bear with me for a second. I'm going to try disconnecting the VPN service and reconnecting it, but that has not worked for me previously. All right, let's try a different. Let's try this first. That's weird. Why is ping working and not NSLookup working? Huh. That does. I love these type of bugs. I hate all bugs. The real and metaphorical kind. Except for bees. We need bees, apparently. Alright, well, I guess the thing that's most important is whether or not we can proceed here. And again, I'm not entirely sure that there's not something else at play other than DNS problems. But when in doubt, unplug it and plug it back in, which is, I think that's what I'm going to do. All right. Sorry about this. I took every precaution I could. I did everything I could prior to launching the stream in order to get things to work, and it's still not working. So we're gonna shut down the VM and start it all up again. Oh, I forgot to try dropping the VPN connection. See, this is this is what somebody on the Discord server sent me, and truer words were never spoken. I'm just gonna leave that up. That should be in my wallpaper, and so every time I have to shut down the VM, that will appear. Anyways, I very much appreciate that you're sticking this out with me and not abandoning what is a... Oh, can't see chat is blocking it? All right, one moment. It's not DNS. There's no way it's DNS. It was DNS. It was DNS all along. Need that shirt, and I need to create a shirt that just says it was a semicolon. That's my most common syntax error. I'm on TV right now. What'd I do? I have a... Yeah. That'd probably be a good selling t-shirt. Alright, just out of curiosity, let's see if... Okay, so we're not still connected, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Here we are at access. We want networks, breaching AD. I'm going to regenerate. Download configuration file. We're going to show in folder. We're going to rename it. We're up to breaching AD 7. This is the 7th time we've had to connect our VPN. CD downloads, sudo breaching AD 7. Looks like it's working. We can close this out. We're going to try to configure DNS. Once again, we've been here before. Assuming the IP hasn't changed, it is that one. Moment of truth. All right, we're back in business. I'm gonna have to find a reliable way to end the VPN connection and restore it without having to reboot the everything, without having to reboot everything. Where were we? Let's refresh this in case the names have changed. They have not. I recognize this number. And so going back in time about 30 minutes. It probably just looks steep. It's not all that deep right now. I use ChatGPT as my go-to these days. I saw somebody describe ChatGPT as Stack Overflow without the judgment. And I find that to be true. Oh, it already exists. All right, so let's just change into username. And let's list, dir. Everything's still there. All right. And now this is where things went sideways, but not because of this. I'm going to remember these IPs for as long as I live. I've gone through this so many times. Okay, that is not correct. I need to substitute the name here. But yeah, I mean, troubleshooting is just a way of life now for me. Like it's probably most of my life is spent troubleshooting, so I should be relatively good at it by now. Is that the correct one? It is the correct one. Does one of these things not look like the other? They look nearly identical, except for the substitutions that we were supposed to make. So let's go here. What exactly are we getting? We're just getting the configuration file, right? I'm thinking about going back to get my master's at WGU online. I've heard great things about it, and you can work as fast or as slow as you want to. People are getting their degrees in a matter of, 2 or 3 months. And along with it, because in order to get the degree, you have to complete like a dozen different certificates. So in addition to the degree, they're getting all the oh God, no. In addition to the degree, they're getting all the certificates too. If you'll notice, if we go up here, we can see that at least 4 of the people have voted to reset the network. So I'm wondering if it's just very buggy, if maybe it's no fault of our own that this is failing again and again. Let's go back to let's try, what's the other one? MDT. Okay, so this time it looks like it's not DNS. But whatever could it be? We're in the correct directory. TFT, maybe the IP changed? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong server. That would be embarrassing, huh? Let's take bets. No, it's the MDT server. X64, that's the one we want. I'm kind of at a loss at this point. get, and then temp, and backwards, everything, BCD, connect request failed. Oh, you know what? I wonder if, no. That thought went nowhere. Oh, God. Let's try the same thing and hope for different results. I'm not insane, and neither am I. And I can tell that it's probably not working. Maybe the web interface is misreporting the IP of the MDT server? I'm really grasping at straws at this point. That's what we've been using, right? Yeah, this is as real as it gets. I'm so paranoid about it. About DNS failing on us again. All right. Maybe there's something completely inscrutable I'm missing. .200.54.202. Let's go back here. Let's hit refresh to make sure the names haven't changed. So specifically, it's not us that's having trouble connecting to DMT, it's the jump box that's having trouble connecting to MDT. Too much Joe Rogan. And let's just see what the jump server is doing. I do not know who he is. I just Googled him on the other screen, and I've since learned that he was an American electrical engineer and computer programmer best known for creating and designing Temple OS. But yeah, other than the first line of the what search returns, I have completed this room twice offline, and I failed to complete it online like 3 times now. I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of live streaming curse. There is a, yeah, it's like what they call it, the where observation affects the outcome in like quantum mechanics. Let's just try to reconnect to the jump box and see what happens. Can you do NS lookup on a Windows machine? This is the address of the domain controller, isn't it? It is. So our DNS is working, but maybe Tryhackme's DNS isn't working right. I wonder if that's what all the votes are about. Let's try pinging it. I don't really know how to read some of this stuff. Why is it giving, it just says, here's an address for you. This is the domain controller's address. Why are you giving that to me? It's around their own, but here's an address. All right, So what we're gonna do is reset everything. We're gonna pull the yeah, I have some sort of field effect where I just wreck machines. We're gonna reset everything. We're gonna pull the plug on the THM network. We're gonna pull the plug on the VM. We're gonna pull the plug on everything. What? Oh, I voted for this already previously. Yeah, I am. This is starting to get to me. So I voted to reset it previously. So I am vote 1 of 5, and we need one more vote. This is why I've given this a thumbs down. Yeah, but I think we've troubleshot the issue. It's not our DNS this time, it's THM's DNS. And let's just see the meme again. It was DNS. No, it was you, DNS. So I don't know what to do now, because we can't wait around for a 5th person to eventually come around and reset the network. And we don't have proper permissions, I don't think, to... Can we configure DNS? Excuse me while I have a sidebar with ChatGPT. Oh boy. Let's see. I apologize. But yeah, my mind is more and more on the Pepsi in my fridge. I'm gonna need additional caffeine to get through this. So let's see. First, this is a lot harder on Windows than Linux. Win server is configured through DHCP. That's not... So that should be correct, right? 10.200.50. So the domain controller is the DNS server. Just to my limited understanding, DNS is configured properly. And yet, it's not working. Configured but not working. We've seen that happen on our attack box. Come on, somebody reset. Maybe I can create a fake account and reset it. This is the same. Off-brand. Really? Oh, excuse me. What I should do is just go on to the next task. But I feel compelled to get this to work. You're abandoning ship? It's all right. I don't blame you. I apologize. I don't know what else to do. It looks like DNS is working. Previously it wasn't, right? So we troubleshot that. DNS is working from our VM. DNS is at least configured on the Windows network, the Windows computer, the jump box. Oh, you're coming back? All right. Oh, it's been fun to watch this, and it's going to continue to be fun. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for not abandoning me in my hour of need. I think we're literally going to wait around until somebody resets the network. If anybody has a Tryhackme account, please jump into breaching AD and reset the network, because I don't know what else to do at this point. So the address is the address of the domain name server, and it's not giving us information for THMMDT. What if we do... I'm just throwing darts in the dark at this point. Okay. And we do have some indication that DNS is configured. It's just not working. let's try to configure it anyways, even though it seems to be. You never know. Sometimes you have to repeat yourself to these computers. Configure DNS server, which is right here, is incorrect or does not exist. Well, it doesn't seem to be either of those things. It seems to both exist and be correct. It says it's flushed it, and yet okay. I mean, it's set to be statically. I was gonna say we can try dynamically. Parameter is incorrect. I'm at a complete loss. Hello again. So I think, again, I have limited understanding of all this, but it looks like the jump server is configured correctly, and I'm inclined to believe there's something wrong with the domain controller's DNS, but whether that's true or not and what I can do about it are completely different things. Does the next task rely on I wonder if we can do the next task while we're waiting for somebody to come along and reset the server for us. No. All right, yeah, so let's just, we're going to skip task 6. The last enumeration avenue we will explore in this network is configuration files. Suppose you were lucky enough to cause a breach that gave you access to a host on the organization's network. In that case, configuration files are an excellent avenue to explore in an attempt to recover AD credentials. Depending on the host that was breached, various configuration files may be of value for enumeration. Web application config files, service config files, registry keys, and centrally deployed applications. Several enumeration scripts. Enumeration just means kind of taking inventory, listing and numbering and identifying, such as seatbelt, can be used to automate this process. Configuration file credentials. However, we will focus on recovering credentials from a centrally deployed application in this task. Usually these applications need a method to authenticate to the domain during both the installation and execution phases. An example of such an application is McAfee Enterprise Endpoint Security. McAfee was a nut job, but seemingly a very fun guy. He was kind of like a very rich Hunter S. Thompson type, which organizations can use as the endpoint detection and response tool for security. McAfee embeds the credentials used during installation to connect back to the orchestrator in a file called MADB. This database file can be retrieved and read with local access to the host to recover the associated AD service account. We'll be using the SSH access on THM Jump 1 again for this exercise. Excuse me, the MADB file is stored in a fixed location. And so C user, okay, so this is from, again, Tryhackme doesn't really give you a good idea of which computer you're in at any one time or which computer they want you to be in at any one time. So this is C:, that means we're in a Windows command line environment. This is on the jump box. And I don't know why they put this all here. I guess it's just to prove that the database file does exist here. Did they move it or something? CD. No, it's just to show that this is where the database file is. Okay, so there's no need to issue these commands. We can skip right to our attack box. So here, and again, attack box is kind of a vague term because if we're pivoting from the jump box, that's really our attack box. But they mean your either web-based Kali machine or, in this case, our VM-based Kali machine. And so we've already issued this command, secure copy from the jump box into our folder. And to read the database file, we will use a tool called SQLite Browser. We can open the database using the following command. So let's do that now. I do not like SQLite Browser, and you'll see why in a moment. It's just, it doesn't follow the same, what do they call it? Like visual language semiotics as most programs, and the structure is kind of weird. I'm sure you can get used to it, but it takes getting used to, so. And you'll see why in a moment here. Can we snap this? We cannot snap it. And that's something else I don't like about it. Oh, I guess we can snap it. I dislike it less then. Using SQLite Browser, we can select the Browse Data option and focus on the Agent Repositories table. Alright, so what they're leaving out here is that to get to the table, and your eyes are probably drawn toward auth password, and there's nothing you can really do with this. Can't click it, can't right click it. These tabs really don't elicit anything. This doesn't change things. Mode's not going to change anything. What you got to do, long story short, is go up to Agent Repositories, right click, and click Browse Table. That's how to make your thing look like their thing. You know, one of these things is not like the other, and you want to make them look like the other. That's what you got to do. You got to right click on Agent Repositories and browse the table. All right. Wait a second. If we select this and then just go browse data, is that another way we can do it? Is browse table and browse data the same thing? I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, so nope, go away. So here we are. And we got to move this all the way over. Oh, I don't think it is. Is it? Let's see. We're looking for some sort of hash. All right. So that might be another way to get to it. It might be just to click the browse data instead of the right click browse tables. Anyways, find the password column. Click on it. You're not going to get it. Okay, I spoke too soon. You can't get it all here. Copy it. We are particularly interested in the second entry of the domain auth user. If we wanted to be kind of super thorough pen testers, I think we would go into the file system here. Go down to, wait, where do we want to go to? Where's my, okay. Okay, document, empty file, and we'll call this, I know that's short for print working directory, but in this case it's short for password. And you can't, okay, Control Shift V doesn't work. Does Control V work? It does. All right, and I'm gonna double check this because last time I looked at this, I could have sworn it ended with a dash and not an equal sign. But I could be wrong. And apparently I'm wrong. But we're making progress. So that's good. That's fun for me. We are particularly interested in the second entry, focusing on the domain auth user and auth password field entries. Make a note of the values stored in these entries. I did. However, the auth password file field is encrypted. Luckily, McAfee encrypts this field with a known key. Therefore, we will use the following old Python 2 script. No, we won't, because I don't think we have Python 2 installed. Excuse me. So we're going to go down to the note. The tool we will use here is quite old. It uses, however, there's been a recent update to the application to ensure that it works on Python 3 as well. And here it is. And download the raw file. And what do I want to do with this? I'm going to be lame. I'm not going to be a super elite hacker. I'm just going to copy it through the GUI. Where is it? Was it a zip or just the... Why would it be a zip? Let's look at that again. Let's look at our downloads. Yeah, it's just a pie. Send to... No, let's just cut it. And we'll go to... Kelly, Tryhackme, Breaching AD... Because it has to be in the folder that you run it from. So, and we're already in this directory, and that's where all our breaching AD stuff is. So we're gonna continue with that convention. And let's see, here we go. And back to here. Unzip. Okay, those were the task files that we downloaded. Show all downloads. Nope, let's just go to the folder. 2SMG, are you still there with us? Just checking in. Okay, so we're gonna cut this too, and we're gonna paste it here. And can we unzip it, extract here? And we did. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear you haven't abandoned your post. All right, providing the script with our base 64 encoded and encrypted password. The script will provide the decrypted password. So they're not currently in the... Oh, we didn't have to do that because, wait, what did we unzip? We didn't need any of that because that's the Pi 2 version of everything. I'm going to leave it there in case I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I think we can just run the command as it is here. Of course, substituting let me just check to see that the script uses the same name. Cafe siteless password decrypt.py. It does, and we need the password value. So let's go. I'm glad I copied it. I gotta look into see if there's some sort of password history manager like in Windows. I mean, I know there is, but I think it has to be installed separately. No problem. All right. Yay, we did a thing. I've once again outsmarted my computer. All right. What type of files often contain stored credentials on hosts? That'd be configuration files. No, I'm sure it is. Is it telling me I'm wrong? I'm not wrong, you're wrong. Submit. Enter. What is going on? Configuration. Files. Submit. Oh my god. Let's hit refresh. Speaking of refresh, I am dying for some soda. Oops, that is not the... We're in task 7 now. md.db. Is my enter key not working? What is going on? MADB. Not that makes a difference. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Whoop, your answer is correct. Whoop, your answer is correct. What the? What table in this database stores the credentials of the orchestrator? What kind of question is that? Yeah, I think I'm about to. After I finish up answering these questions, I'm gonna take a break. Call it a mental health break. All right, I don't... Orchestrator. What table in this database? What table? What happened to our SQL database? Agent repositories. I would like to copy this because, all right. Yay. Why does it keep jumping up there? What is the username of the AD account associated with the McAfee service? What is the username of the AD account? Okay, so browse data didn't work. We gotta right click. Oh, unless we highlight it? No. Highlight it, right click, browse table. All right. What is the service AV? So for antivirus, I'm assuming. We could have deduced that. We don't have to look it up. What is the password of the AD account associated with the McAfee service? My strong password. And we should, in order to be good pen testers, we should enter that there too. And what is, does that save it? Let's test it. Control S works here. It's not Control X as in nano. All right. That is a delayed response on the correct answer there. All right. Task 7 is complete. Woohoo! I am just going to test real quick to see if anything is working. Nope, it is not working. I don't think retrieving a Pepsi, that's the cat feeder, by the way, if you can hear that. I don't think retrieving a Pepsi is going to solve anything. So if this doesn't work this time, I'm tempted to end the stream right there, right here and now. Those are coyotes, if you can hear them. All right, I think I'm going to end it there because I don't think there's anything else we can do. It's not on our end. It seems to be on the domain controller's end that there's a problem. What? Why did it? Why did it reset? Well, I'll tell you what. It's probably going to take 10 minutes to... Oh, the coyotes are not cool because you got to worry about the cats. I keep running out there to try and shoot them, but every time I try, this comedy of errors, like my cell phone goes off and spooks them or something, but one way or another I gotta get back into the woods and start shooting some coyotes. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a 10-minute break, retrieve the aforementioned soda, and we'll come back and see if this is working. Yeah, they're kind of awful. I mean, they're not. I don't want to have to. The one thing about YouTube is, you find out. I mean, prior to YouTube, no one knew anything about animal behavior. Like, all you had was a bunch of unverifiable anecdotes. But now that we have cameras everywhere, you kind of see that you can be friends with just about every animal, except for tigers. But any other animal is fair game for making friends with, and I've seen people have coyotes as pets, and they seem decent enough in a pet capacity, so I don't relish having to try and shoot them, but they're pretty awful, and they need to be shot anyways, so there's that. But yeah, all right, 10-minute break. When we come back, we'll see if this nonsense is up and working. Once again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll stick around and see me back here in 10 minutes. Thank you.
virus. Dark wave. Break it down. Dark wave. Break it down. Dark wave.
All right, we're back. Let's see if this worked. Says network state resetting. The uptime says 12 minutes, so hopefully it's reset. And let's see if that has accomplished anything for us. First of all, we have to see if we're still in business DNS wise. Oh, I should have put those things in task 7. Created a separate folder. Anyways, let's just go all the way up to the top. I don't think anything should be working at this point. Huh. So it looks like our VPN connection is still valid and we're still connected. Wait, where am I? Okay, we're no longer on our jump server. So we've got to reconnect to that. And let's change. Oh, so we got to start all over, do we? We do, kinda. All right, task 6. Blah 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 blah. We've read all that. Hello. Success. So far, so good. And this is where nothing worked last time. So, yeah. Here goes something. Hopefully. And you know what I should have done is see if we could get to the BCD page before I went any further. And it's okay. I'm just gonna close it out completely and try the link again. Yay, so far so good. And our BCD file has in fact changed. All right. Fingers crossed, here goes nothing. Is everybody out there ready? It looks good. I'm about to send it. Sending it. What? Holy cow. All right, so big sigh of relief. It wasn't anything on our end. It was literally the domain controller of the THM network. 2SMG, did you see that? It worked. All right. So now what? It worked, yeah. And I've been living in a world where it hasn't worked for so long, I don't know what to do now. All right, you will have to, we did that. With the BCD file now recovered. You know, I'm not even that happy. I'm just so numb to everything at this point. With the BCD file now recovered, we'll be using PowerPXE to read its contents. PowerPXE is a PowerShell script that automatically performs this type of attack, but usually with varying results, so it is better to perform a manual approach. We will use the getWim file function of PowerPXE to recover the locations of the pxeboot images from the BCD file. Alright, so we're in our attack box, and then we jumped into the jump box. We're in a Windows environment, command line environment now. Now we're going to get into a PowerShell command line environment at the risk of sounding redundant. So here's the command to launch PowerShell. Why? What did I miss? No. Why does it append this to my commands? All right. Import module. Let's do that. And it looks like we're setting a variable here. Now we're running command on that variable. Oh, and it gave us the location of what now? The location of the pxeboot images. WIM files are bootable images in the Windows imaging format, WIM. Now that we have the location of the pxeboot image, we can again use TFTP to download this image. Wait, okay, yeah, we're still in PowerShell on the jump box. And no, oh, all right. THMDT IP. I will never forget this IP for as long as I live. And now we have to substitute the location. I don't know why it gives it to us twice. Okay, so I completely screwed up when I hit Control C. Let's paste in the location first and selectively paste things in here one at a time. You know what? We could potentially type some of this in. It doesn't seem that difficult. And if you're judging me for how slow I type and everything, I have done severe nerve damage to my left hand. That's part of the why it sounds like I'm hunting and pecking. All right, so previously it said transfer in 1 second, and when it was taking longer than that's how I knew something was wrong. This one says 218 seconds, so just about a minute shy of 5 minutes, so it's going to take a little bit. And it says that this download will take a while since you are downloading a fully bootable and configured Windows image. Maybe stretch your legs and grab a glass of water while you wait. I have my soda, so I'm going to finish up that. It's the last soda I have until tomorrow, too. Oh, by the way, I had, while we were waiting, I asked ChatGPT to, not ChatGPT, Midjourney to create me a picture of Razor and Blade from the movie Hackers holding a sign that says "We'll be right back," and I'm going to show you what Midjourney came up with. I hope to. I think they've kind of mistaken Razor and or Blade's geisha makeup for that of a clown. So that's not great, but otherwise it's at least recognizable. It's upscaling it right now. So, not great. Not the worst thing in the world. This is problematic. I don't know what's going on up here. And I like how AI has just given... The prompt was holding a sign. AI has just given up on trying to draw hands. It knows where its strengths lie and conversely where its weaknesses are, so it just bailed on drawing hands there. Is it still downloading? Okay, successful. Yay, more success. Winning. And I'm gonna... Well, alright. Might as well be a completionist here. This download, we did that. Recovering credentials from a pxeboot image. Now that we have recovered the pxeboot image, we can exfiltrate stored credentials. It should be noted that there are various attacks that we could stage. We could inject a local administrator user. They mentioned that previously. So we have admin access as soon as the image boots. We could install the image to have a domain joined machine. If you're interested in learning more about these attacks, you can read this article, and I'm not going to read that currently. This exercise will focus on a simple attack of just attempting to exfiltrate credentials. Again, we'll use PowerPXE to recover the credentials, but you could also do this step manually by extracting the image and looking for the bootstrap.ini file, where these types of credentials are often stored. To use PowerPXE to recover the credentials from the bootstrap file, run the following command. I will do that. So far, so good. One of these things does look like the other. Well, that's doing... You know what we should have done while we were waiting for it to download? We should have just gone on with these questions and answers here. What Microsoft tool is used to create and host pxeboot images in organizations? Microsoft Deployment Toolkit? Question mark? I am correct answer. What network protocol is used for recovery of files from the MDT server? TFTP? I am correct. What is the username associated with the account that was stored in the pxeboot image? Well, here we are. Service MDT. Previously it was Service AV, likely for antivirus. Nope. You know what? That's easy enough to type out. And again, some of these service accounts we could probably deduce. What is the password associated with pxeboot secure 1A or 1@ sign? Well, you should make sure to clean up your user directory that you created at the start of the task. If you will try, you will notice that you get an access denied error. Don't worry, the script will help with the cleanup process, but remember when you are doing assessments to always perform cleanup. Let's see, cd dar cd dot dar remove username, delete username. All right, forget it. Stay there then. I don't care. And finally, conclusion. A significant amount of attack avenues. I was going to say a significant amount of work, and they have absolutely no idea how much work went into all this. Lots. Significant amount of attack avenues can be followed to breach AD. We covered some of those commonly seen being used during a red team exercise in this network. Due to the sheer size of the attack surface, new avenues to cover the first set of AD credentials are constantly being discovered. Building a proper enumeration methodology and continuously updating it will be required to find that initial pair of credentials. Mitigations. In terms of mitigations, these are some steps that organizations can take. User awareness and training. The weakest link in the cybersecurity chain is almost always users. Training users and making them aware that they should be careful about disclosing sensitive information such as credentials and not trust suspicious emails reduces this attack surface. Limit the exposure of AD services and applications online. Not all applications must be accessible from the internet, especially those that support NTLM and LDAP authentication. Instead, these applications should be placed in an intranet that can be accessed through a VPN. The VPN can then support multi-factor authentication for added security. Enforce network access control. NAC. NAC can prevent attackers from connecting rogue devices on the network. However, it will require quite a bit of effort since legitimate devices will have to be allow listed. Enforce SMB signing. By enforcing SMB signing, SMB relay attacks are not possible. Follow the principle of least privileges. In most cases, an attacker will be able to recover a set of AD credentials. By following the principle of least privileges, especially for credentials used for services, the risk associated with these credentials being compromised can significantly be reduced. Now that we have breached AD, the next step is to perform enumeration of AD to gain a better understanding of the domain structure and identify potential misconfigurations that can be exploited. This will be covered in the next room. Remember to clear the DNS configuration. Oh, I don't think that will be a problem. I think the DNS configuration will clear itself every 10 minutes. At least it feels that way. Answer the questions below. I understand how configuration changes can help prevent AD breaches. Sort of. Complete. Yay, congratulations. You've completed the room. Share this with your friends. Maybe later. Alright. So, what did we do today? Today, we exfiltrated credentials, hard-coded credentials from a pxeboot image and from a McAfee endpoint detection system. And I think most importantly, we were able to troubleshoot DNS extensively until we found out that the root problem was with the domain controller and couldn't do anything about it other than vote to reset the network. That bug was crazy, man. Crazy. It was a bug hunt. It's another bug hunt, man. This is another bug hunt. That gives me a good idea. I'm gonna clip that from Aliens and have that. I have a bunch of buttons on kind of a stream deck I have created from a $37 tablet using Touch Portal. It has a bunch of clip buttons that I can press at any time to launch, well, clips and I think I'm gonna create an aliens clip about being on a bug hunt, because I have the feeling that this isn't the last bug hunt that THM sends me on. Anyways, thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thanks especially to 2SMG for interacting with me and making the stream that much more lively. Otherwise, it's just me talking to myself like a crazy person. So I appreciate very much any and all interaction. Tomorrow, we're hopefully, fingers crossed, going to begin the next AD room, which is enumeration, and we'll see how far we get with that. I have to, what basically has to happen is I have to test it out before I go live, and that's going to take probably most of Sunday, so we'll see how far I get with that. I hope to keep the calendar for the live streams updated on cyberspacemanmike.com, and I hope to create one on Twitter. In the meantime today, I will break again, absolutely. In the meantime today, I created a shorts video of all the holographic build plates that I tested out for the Bamboo A1 Mini, and that's up now. I think I previewed it on Discord last night, but now I have a public version, and I hope to have a full video up sometime next week. What else am I working on? Also a video on all the Ponagachi plugins, like the top 10 Ponagachi plugins. And yeah, that's all I have planned for the foreseeable future. So thanks once again, and appreciate it, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye now.